Welcome everybody to the Tuesday, May 13th Board of Education regular business meeting. May I please have a motion to call the meeting to order? So moved. Michele, second. Jeff, all in favor? Aye. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. And a motion to approve tonight's agenda, please. So moved. Carole, second.
Second.
Dave. All in favor? Aye. All right, and that brings up our liaisons, our student liaisons. Please come on up.
Rock, paper, scissors. Yes.
I know we're all waiting.
Just how to get it open? Sorry.
No, you're good.
Okay.
All right. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. I keep doing the same thing. The same thing. I haven't changed it for the past like 6 meetings. No, my problem is I forget what I did the last time, which is so bad.
That's great.
Do you want to go first?
So we go first, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
I'll go first.
Oh, wait, you want me to go first?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I got you. Sorry. Hi, guys. We are in the trenches of AP exams. We're almost there. I just finished mine yesterday. I did AP Gov and AP Music Theory. AP Music Theory was only like 4.5 hours compared to the 6 hours it was last year, so that was good.
Improvement.
Yeah. On a more fun note, juniors had prom last weekend, and Diana's going to talk about more of that later. Equestrian Club is finally taking off at Thomas. It was started by Mrs. Upham, and now the kids get to meet and interact with horses, and we're hoping that next year it'll grow to be even bigger, and yeah. Over the weekend, it was Community Arts Day. Show choir got to perform, which was a good warm-up for us for our concert next week. And it was so amazing to see all like the elementary schools and middle schools perform like little segments of their shows. It was very entertaining. And Thomas was featured to do Bend and Snap from Legally Blonde, which was a really great like fun reunion to get us all back together. With the end of the school year coming up, senior events are insane. My fridge is just full of things that I have to keep track of. Senior ball is this weekend, and the Luminary Walk is the day after. And there's just a lot of fun things like senior awards. Everything's coming up so fast, and I'm so excited. Nice.
Hi, everyone. I'm loving the warm weather that's coming up because I was sick of the cold. I really was. And it definitely lightens my mood. And as Jocelyn said, we are in the trenches of AP season, so I need the good weather. And tomorrow I have AP Lang, and I already took my AP Push, and then I have AP Psych the end of the week. So I'm just wishing. I'm studying. And also, as Jocelyn said, junior prom was a blast, and considering I've been looking forward to it since like 4th grade, it was everything I hope it could be. So fun. There was an ice cream bar. It was amazing.
First in line at mine.
Was amazing. I went through twice, and it was at Castle Larga, which was beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I was very, very thankful we were able to have such a nice prom. And moving on to sports for Thomas, the girls' flag football team are at 6-2 this season and host Greece Olympia / Odyssey on Thursday. The girls' softball team beat Hilton 12-2 on Wednesday, and on Thursday for boys lacrosse, they reached their 5th win, 15-6 against Aquinas. So they're doing pretty good. And then Space Club is planning their RIT observatory trip, but we have been since like March, and it just keeps like getting delayed because of the weather. But finally, the weather is getting good, so we should be able to go to the RIT observatory for that. So not much this time, hopefully next time.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Awesome. So like they were both saying, AP week is crazy. But at Schrader, the student council they hosted their first stress-free study, snacks, and therapy dog session.
Oh,
Is a mouthful.
I know, wow.
Yeah, no, it was actually awesome
creative.
though, because during lunches, students were able to stop by the library and hang out with a bunch of service dogs, Penny, Chloe, and Riggs. And they're hoping to host another one around Regents time, which I think is great for the kids. In addition, the softball team had their cruiser night last week. So this night basically is to give thanks to Mr. Cruz, who helps out with a lot of sports all throughout Schrader, but specifically our softball program. We're super grateful for him. And he does all this while battling leukemia. So during the games, players went around and collected donations to give to the Wilmot Cancer Center in his name, which was really awesome.
Yeah.
Last week, the Schrader Theater Company put on their production of the Cafe Mocha Murders. It was a huge success, and I heard that it was so much fun to see. I didn't get a chance to go myself because I was busy playing softball, actually, but I heard it was awesome. On May 1st, we had our college/career decision day. So seniors wore shirts of where they're going to college or like what career field they're going into. And students were able to eat cake and take lots of photos, which was super fun. Oh, you didn't get cake. Oh, no. There'll be cake at graduation parties, too. And last week was our Teacher Appreciation Week. All week long, we celebrated and gave thanks to all the teachers and staff at Webster Schrader. Yeah.
Thank you. Lots
Yeah.
going on. It's great.
Yeah, lots
I
going
know.
on, yes.
We'll see you again in June, but good luck with the rest of your exams and everything else.
Thank you so much.
Joni.
Hi, Joan. Come on up.
Come on up.
Good.
I bring guests, I don't tell them who.
Hi, it's us.
Didn't know you were here.
All right, you guys. How are you all? All right. Well, that is the thank you for PTSA throughout the district. All 11 schools, WTA helped celebrate, and it was a wonderful celebration, and it is pretty amazing the different things that come through. Tonight, I am going a different direction after I go through just a few glimpses, a few pieces of what we are doing as a WTA. We have our Women's Committee again. We have our meeting downtown at the end of May, and we will be meeting with people all over our area, as well as Section 5 and Monroe County. Our president has, with multiple other members and our RAs, we're recently at the delegates conference where they spent 3 days talking and speaking and problem solving, all different things that are going on around our state. And you guys are very much aware of those different pieces that we're trying to do in working with the whole child. And all of us here have been in education long enough to know that we've always been trying to work with the whole child and understand that as a front. Our thank yous. Our thank yous include from our students. I appreciate your help and ability to push me to understand what I am really trying to learn. Thank you for the extra help when I know you wanted lunch and for putting a smile on my face. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you for being one of my favorites. You made class always look forward to going to. Teachers like I am not correcting that. Thank you so much for all your help last year. I truly appreciate and will always remember what you did. From parents, hope you had a wonderful week. To another member, as you know, these are to WTA members, we appreciate all that you do for the students and the community. We are really glad to have all of you in our corner. And now I'm going to turn it over to these wonderful librarians who not only managed to get into and see, and I'm hoping come back with an autograph of one of the best authors out there, but present it.
Yes, I'm Jen Streggy, Schrader librarian. I'm here with,
Hi, I'm Jody Dovalak. I'm the Thomas librarian.
and we're your One Webster librarians, One Webster in action. And we joined over 400 librarians May 2nd and 3rd at the New York State Library Association Section of School Librarians Conference, which was held this year in Rochester at Woodcliff. And as Joni alluded to, there were one of the highlights of the conference is there are always contemporary authors there. And we particularly enjoy the young adult authors who this year included Jason Reynolds and Brendan Keeley and Meg Medina. And I think we're always struck by the power of storytelling, both for the authors and for readers. And we leave with this idea that, boy, we really would like kids to have this experience. It's commonplace in elementary schools, a little less common at the middle school level, and not as common at the high school level. So we've got some ideas in the works, and be looking for some things forthcoming there as we strive to continue to nurture a culture of readers and literacy in our district. And another highlight of the experience is I had the opportunity to present Dr. Paul Benz with the Secondary Administrators Award, which goes to one administrator at the secondary level in New York State for his support of library programming. So, and then finally, Jody and I presented together at our first state conference, and I'm going to let her talk about that.
Yeah. Joni, we didn't get a Jason Reynolds autograph for you. I'm sorry. The line was very, very long, and he is very, very famous. But we, okay, fine. But we decided to kind of reach out and try our hand at presenting at a state conference. Luckily, they picked us, and we got to do a session on the Friday. We were the last session of the day before the big dinner, and we didn't think anybody would show up. But they did, and we had over 40 people come to our session, which we called Powerful Partnerships, Increasing Collaborations in Secondary Libraries. Some of you know that both Jen and I came from teaching English at our schools. Jen for, 17 years at Schrader, and me 20 years at Thomas. And so now we're new to librarianship, though Jen's 7 years and I'm now 3. And we thought, what can we do that people might connect with, and maybe something a little bit different? So we focused on how we are working in our schools to make better connections with everyone, and especially create collaborations with teachers in the schools, so that then, of course, we're getting more students into the library and getting more lessons. So we focused on instructional leadership, teacher collaborations, extracurricular involvement, event planning, and advocacy, which is exactly what we're doing here. Nice. But it was well received, and we had a good time. And Jen said, "Oh, we did our first state session," and I said, "You just said first." So I think we'll try again.
I like that.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's One Webster presentation. I love it. Thank you.
Are you introducing Oak Tree?
You can.
Oh, okay. All right, next up, we have some exciting Oak Tree Awards. Kim and Chris, if you want to come on up.
Can't wait to hear.
I didn't know if you had anything specific, sorry.
I usually say something after.
Okay.
Thanks, Joe.
You guys can go in any order you want. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
This is like the most exciting thing that I get to do all year. So I'm Kim Kozlowski, and I am the recognition chair for the Webster Central PTSA. And my co-chair from WTA is Jen Gunnerman. This is her representative tonight. the very capable president of WTA, Chris Wojcik. And first, Jen and I would just like to thank everyone who nominated a well-deserving staff member. I grew up in this town, as did my parents. I'm one of 7 kids. My husband grew up here. He's one of 6 kids. We've had many, many, many amazing teachers. And it's thrilling for me as a former teacher, retired 6 years now, to recognize people that stand out above and beyond. We had over 44 staff nominations. And just, someone has to have been teaching for 5 years or been a staff member for 5 years, and no one can win it twice. So sorry, Carole Barnabas, you can only win it one time. So Chris and I are very excited to recognize our 2 recipients, Rachel Yonkers from the elementary and Sage Miller from the secondary. So I'm going to just give a little snippet about Sage, and then she is welcome to make some comments after that. So Sage is a Schrader math and computer science teacher, and she was nominated by a student, which to me stands out a lot when kids take the time to recognize their teachers. This student said they enjoyed Mrs. Miller's class so much last year that they decided to take computer science with her this year. They needed a prerequisite, so Mrs. Miller and her colleague from Thomas offered a prerequisite course over the summer so kids like this student that nominated her could go into that computer science class. So again, above and beyond. And then a quote from the student, Mrs. Miller is good at recognizing when people are not understanding, and when that happens, she approaches the subject matter in a different way. Best practices. According to one of Sage's recommendations, she is not merely a math teacher, she is a transformative educator who ignites a passion for computer science in her students, and her impact extends far beyond the classroom. Her dedication to her students' success is unparalleled. She meets each student where they are, providing personalized support and challenging them to reach their full potential. So amazingly, our secondary recipient, Mrs. Sage Miller.
Thank you. I didn't come prepared with a speech, but I do want to take a moment to recognize that my student who nominated me, Allison, is in the audience, will not like me drawing attention to them, but I do want to thank Allison, because without Allison, I would not have won the award, but also thank support from all of my colleagues. There are so many teachers in our district who are deserving of this award, and I feel very, very, very very honored that I was chosen as the recipient.
That's great. Thanks. Yeah, thanks.
I have the privilege of introducing the elementary recipient of the 2025 Oak Tree Award, and that is Rachel Yonkers from Plank South Elementary School. She was nominated not just once, but actually 6 times this year. Just some of the things that Rachel's nominators had to say about her. And I'm just going to read a few. There's a bunch, but Miss Yonkers goes above and beyond every day for all of her students. Miss Yonker engages with her students and their interests in more ways than I can express. Rachel Yonkers is a remarkable teacher in person and has impacted our lives in the most beautiful way. She creates a community of care and trust within her classes. Her students respect one another and feel comfortable taking academic risks, and that says a lot. Ms. Yonkers is everything you hope a teacher would be. She's kind, she's funny, she's relatable, she's smart and knowledgeable, and more than anything, she loves her kids in a way I've never seen from any other teacher. There's just some of the wonderful things that have been said about Rachel, and if you've worked with her before, you know that for a fact. So I just want to congratulate you on your Oak Tree Award.
Thank you. I also did not come prepared with a speech, but I would also like to recognize the parents and students that are here with me tonight. I definitely feel very fortunate and lucky to be in such a great community in Webster, where I'm supported every day by amazing teachers in my building and my parents and students that work hard and parents that support their education. I want to thank my own family too for putting up with a lot of the hard work that I do. Bring it home, but I feel that it's a rewarding job, and more so when I'm prepared and when I have great days. It affects my ability to be a great parent and a great community member too. And so the whole teacher and the whole child, I think, is an important balance. And so thank you to my nominators, thank you to the Webster community, and thank you, Chris. I feel very honored.
Rachel and Sage will each get a check as a stipend, and they will get a nice little oak tree pin, and then those huge plaques that, thank God, I don't have to have in my car anymore, they will go and hang in the respective buildings for a year. So that is our next step. So thank you, everybody. This is a great
I'm
night
just going to
for us
say a couple quick things. First of all, thank you to the nominators, and both of your nominators, and many of them are here tonight, so it's really great that you guys came. Also, congratulations to both of your families. Both of your families are here with you tonight, and like you said, Rachel, it is behind every great educator is a family in support, and it is so great that they're here with us tonight. And not only have I had a chance to see both of you teach, and you are amazing, you're dynamic, and you make magic happen in the classroom with kids. Beyond that, you're amazing people. And that is something that is why you're role models for all of us, but you're certainly role models for our kids and your colleagues. So congratulations, and thank you for both of you. Congratulations. And thank you to PTSA and WTA for making this happen every year. Kim, I know how much work you put into this too, you and Jen, so great job. And Chris, of course, tonight. So, but thank you very much.
Thanks, Brian.
Now we're going to take a picture over here. So family members, if you...
Yeah, for sure.
That was great. Okay. All right, I got some campus news, friends. If you guys want to come on up and join me here and take your places, and then we will, come on up. Thank you very much, ladies. I will get started. I got about 4 or 5 things here I'm just going to mention. It's an exciting time right now, and we've got a lot of different accolades and awards, and a lot of positivity going around. So you heard of this one, actually, the first one that's up on the screen there. I did want to mention that Jen actually had already mentioned that for us, but Dr. Paul Benz was honored with the New York Library Association Secondary Administrator Award, and one of the quotes that Mrs. Strege had was that Paul has championed the library as a space where every student has a place. He consistently draws on student voice, champions library media studies across the curriculum, and nurtures a culture of continuous improvement in our library. Congratulations to Paul, that's outstanding. Our other secondary principal was also awarded, one of our other high school principal, I should say, Mr. Weedor. So now we have a picture up there. So Thomas Sr., Trevor H's Saney's Scholarship Award-winning essay titled "A School Administrator Who Has Made a Difference in His Life" illustrated the influence of Mr. Weedor. Trevor specifically recalled the global impact trip last year where Mr. Weedor's support gave him the confidence that he needed for the trip and beyond. Congratulations to both Mr. Weedor and also to Trevor, because he won a scholarship through the Saney's program, and what a great kid he is too. But that was a great event and great night, so congratulations there. Next, moving on to our Monroe County Council of School Superintendents, or our MISCUS, Michael C. O'Laughlin Outstanding Senior Recognition Dinner was held last week. And I had the honor of attending that event and honoring Braden P. from Schrader High School and Helene G. from Webster Thomas High School. Both of those students were amazing. The conversations was fantastic, and I could have stayed there all night just talking to the two of them. But they were being honored for scholarship, leadership, service, and character. Congratulations to both of them. Not this past Friday, but Friday, May 2nd, the Friday before, the Webster Chamber of Commerce and the President and Chief Executive Officer, Barry Howard, were named the 2005 recipient for the Act for Education Community Champion for Public Education Award. And there were several of us that went to that event and were in that picture with Barry. Mr. Howard's dedication to supporting others is remarkable. Not only does he support local businesses and the Webster community, but he also generously shares his expertise with Webster CSD high school students, volunteering regularly in their business classes, providing invaluable real-world insights and mentorship to aspiring young entrepreneurs. He is a staple and an instrumental factor in our YEA program year after year and has been doing so since 2011. Hence the reason that as a school district we nominated him and he won that award. Congratulations to Barry and the Chamber. You've already heard about Community Arts Day. It was a wonderful event. I think what I want to do is just call out the numerous people that volunteered, the staff that made that happen, the connection between us and the PTSA, but specifically Stacy Peters and Amy Shaver. The two of them put in tons of time, and if you had a chance to go to that, we had thousands of people that showed up to that event. And it was so well done, well run, well attended, and the energy in the building was just fantastic. So congratulations to them and thank you to them. Yesterday, hot off the presses, we were, for the 20th time, named Best Communities for Music Education. So congratulations to all of our music staff, our kids that are in music, and all of our community friends and partners that work with our music program for that award. Congratulations on that award. You heard about the Cafe Mocha Mystery murder, right? Well, Wednesday, before everybody else got the chance to go see those Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we had a return of our Senior Citizens Day. And this has been a few years coming now, so I'm so happy that we were able to bring that back. That was on April 30th. And so Schrader hosted us, where we were able to have over 150 seniors enjoy a continental breakfast, some musical performances, and then the show, the Mocha Murder Mysteries, which was hilarious, by the way. It was very funny, very well done. But I think the energy and the positivity of that was just great, and it was great to have our seniors back for that event, and hoping that we can do more of those types of events. And I think I got all my points of emphasis. Now I am going to turn things over to Mrs. Ballou, Mr. Callahan, Mrs. Eckler, and Mrs. Malone to take us through some of our other campus news. So I think I started over with Laura, right? I think Laura started.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Thank you. This year, students across all 7 of our elementary schools have been engaging in a shared learning experience through the Core Knowledge Language Arts curriculum. CKLA is a comprehensive research-based program that integrates content-rich literacy instruction with science, history, and the arts. Because it is a common curriculum across the district, it ensures that every student, regardless of school, receives consistent, high-quality instruction. I know you've all been hearing a lot about CKLA and how happy and proud we are of this curriculum. I decided to focus my campus news just giving you a few highlights as to some of the content that's being covered in our curriculum this year. So we're going to see some completed units that our students have built background knowledge and supported their growth in reading, writing, and critical thinking. And so you're going to get to see a little bit about some recent exploration that we've done. Also on this screen are some pictures of some visitors, special guests we've had at Clem North recently. So thank you to Carole and Linda from the board being able to come and support and see the work that we're doing, and Brian and Aaron. We always appreciate your visits and really enjoy showing off the wonderful work of our students and our staff. So let's start with kindergarten. Kindergarten students completed the Taking Care of the Earth domain, where they learned about recycling, pollution prevention, and conservation. If you ask kindergarteners about those words, they can tell you the meaning of those words. They discussed how individual actions can make a difference in protecting the planet. These lessons laid the foundation for scientific thinking and introducing essential vocabulary that supports comprehension in future learning opportunities that they'll have. Now let's visit grade 1. First grade students just wrapped up their unit on classic fairy tales. They read and analyzed well-known stories, developing an understanding of character traits, narrative structure, and common themes. These timeless tales supported vocabulary development, cultural literacy, and a deeper appreciation for storytelling. And part of their end of the unit celebration, they got to dress as character, which was super exciting for them. Second graders finished their exploration of the human body, learning about major body systems, such as the skeletal, muscular, and circulatory systems. This nonfiction unit helps students build scientific knowledge while practicing comprehension strategies for informational text. It also introduced them to important domain-specific vocabulary that supports future studies in health and biology. Yes, these are second graders, if you can believe it. Pretty impressive.
It is. It's very impressive.
Third graders completed the astronomy domain. There's some writing, some third grade writing, where they studied planets, stars, gravity, and the structure of our solar system. This unit fueled scientific curiosity and reinforced literacy skills through close reading, vocabulary acquisition, and comprehension of complex concepts. Fourth graders wrapped up their unit on the American Revolution, gaining insight into the causes, key figures, and outcomes of this important historical period. Through rich texts and discussion, they developed a clearer understanding of liberty, resistance, and the birth of American democracy, while strengthening their ability to analyze historical texts. Fifth grade students concluded a comprehensive study of Native American cultures, examining the diversity of tribes, regions, traditions, and contributions. This domain fostered historical thinking and cultural awareness while reinforcing students' ability to compare texts, analyze perspectives, and synthesize information across sources. They learned a lot about totem poles too, so we have a lot of totem poles up in our fifth grade hallways, so there's some of our students proud of their work. In conclusion, CQLA provides a common, high-quality instructional experience for all of our K through 5 students across our 7 elementary schools. By integrating literacy with deep content knowledge in science, history, and culture, the curriculum ensures that students not only practice foundational reading skills, but also expand their understanding of the world. And this knowledge-rich approach has just been really exciting for our elementary schools this year. And talking to the students, I really wanted to today interview some students before coming and visiting you, and then I got swept away in some other principal duties. But I wanted to go and talk to kids at lunch today just to ask them a couple of questions about the units that they've been studying. But when I get an opportunity to do this, the students are just there. It's marvelous. It's really to hear them use the vocabulary of this rich context that they're learning. So it's very exciting work, and it's a huge testament to our staff that has been learning alongside of our students and enjoying what they're learning. So thank you for giving us this opportunity.
Thanks, Laura. That's great.
The suspense. All right.
That was great.
My name is Chris Callahan. I am the non-award-winning secondary.
You've won awards.
But I am the grateful principal of Spry Middle School. We're going to start with Willink Middle School. Spring brought a wonderful sense of community to Willink. The PTSA went above and beyond with teacher appreciation events in April and May. They celebrated our students' creativity by recognizing those who truly shone in this area. And speaking of creativity and problem solving, the boys' baseball team and girls lacrosse teams turned a rainy field closure into an epic base lax game in the gym, a true testament to their adaptability, spirit, and fun.
That's great.
It's been a busy and productive spring here at Spry. State testing is complete and spring NWEA assessments are well underway. Our spring sports teams are now in full swing, showcasing fantastic teamwork and dedication despite some unpredictable weather. Our 8th graders are buzzing with excitement as the post-Memorial Day trip to either Rochester trip or the Washington, D.C. trip draw near. And a huge thank you again to the Spry PTSA for making our Staff Appreciation Week so special. The daily recognitions were truly appreciated by all. Schrader High School has been buzzing with the arts. The students recently delivered a fantastic run of the Cafe Mocha Murders, as previously mentioned, and the art department showcased their incredible talent through a recent art show, the Meaningful Empty Bowls event, and the induction of the National Honor Society for the Arts. They also would like to extend their sincere gratitude to the PTSA for wonderful staff appreciation events. And finally, the AP exams are off to a successful start as the students tackle these important assessments. The energy is also high at Thomas as they move into a packed end of the year schedule. Juniors celebrated their prom last week, and seniors are looking forward to their ball this Saturday. Community Arts Day was a resounding success, showcasing the musical and artistic talents of our students. This weekend, we are excited for the annual Senior Luminary Walk in partnership with Schrader, where families can pick up their Titan or Warrior yard sign. And for all the car enthusiasts out there, mark your calendars. The Tech Department's annual Titan Car Show is on the 30th and has grown into a fantastic display of classic and unique cars. May has been the month of recognition and preparation for GOAL. They celebrated their 3rd quarter honor roll students and are now gearing up for some exciting upcoming events. A community service trip to the Lilac Festival was a wonderful experience, and they are looking forward to GOAL Prom on May 16th at the Webster Arboretum, the Senior Luminary Night on May 18th, and the annual Red Wings game on the 28th. And of course, GOAL graduation on June 17th. They're creating memories that will last a lifetime. On to Owl Middle School, continues its dedicated work toward board goals, focusing on daily circles, experiential learning, relationship building, and outdoor activities wherever possible. They're incredibly proud of the progress their students are making on their goals and are significantly proud of the success they have made due to the invaluable contributions of their social work intern, Lucy Lee, who they will be saying "see you soon" to as she embarks on some exciting new opportunities. Last, Owl High School has been taking learning beyond the classroom with recent field trips. Students gained hand-on experience at the Equa Center, learning about agriculture and hippotherapy, which I did look up prior to coming up here, which is equine therapy.
Okay.
They also enjoyed a career in sports day at the Red Wings game at Innovative Field, gaining insights into various sports-related professions. As they move into May, Owl High is focused on preparing students for upcoming New York State Regents exams. That's it for the secondary report.
Thank you very much. And our continuing ed.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Abby Eckler. This is Megan Malone. And we are here to talk to you about our efforts to kind of revitalize our continuing ed department. So on this slide, you can see these are some of our mutually beneficial partnerships that we've established as when we took over the department in the fall. On the left-hand side of the screen, you can see that we've created new partnerships with some financial institutions. In the past, Community Ed has kind of focused their financial literacy programs on the getting ready to retire demographic of people. So we've worked with some local, incredibly intelligent financial advisors, investment specialists to provide new courses that help people of all ages learn financial wellness and have opportunities to expand their wealth portfolio. Over here on the right side, our academic and special interest partnerships are all local businesses that are based in the greater Rochester area and want to provide unique and special programming for us. We love this because it lets us have the opportunity to give our community special opportunities. They love it because it gives them the opportunity to meet new clientele. So this has been great for us to offer the community brand new opportunities and for them to meet new people that maybe will come back for more. So here in this slide, you can see kind of what community involvement has looked like over the last year or so. So when Megan and I came into the position in the fall of 2024, all those courses were already planned, so we just kind of had to execute what was going on. So we decided to focus our efforts on kind of modernizing the department and some of the procedures that go on. So we've moved from a lot of paper documents to kind of digitizing everything, revitalizing and expanding our Facebook and social media efforts. We use our software system Zenigrade to our advantage to meet the needs of more people and reach out to more people. And obviously, you can see the numbers are going up slowly but surely, and we're hopeful that with these efforts, summer 2025, Meg will touch on this a little bit, but we're hopeful it will be the biggest and best session yet.
Great.
For you.
Thank you. So like Abby was saying, we're getting used to this. We took it over in the fall. So part of us learning the program, we've been sending out a Google form, because we're digitizing everything, to all of the participants after they go to a course. So this survey will ask them what course they took, how prepared the instructor was, so we can learn who the instructors are and move forward, what they loved about the class. Just they get to rate every aspect of it. And at the end, they can write more about the class, so which has been great because as you can see some of these quotes, we learn a lot because we don't get to go to all the classes. We meet the instructors, we talk to a lot of the participants on the phone, but we don't get to be in all the classes. So we've learned a lot. Sunny is our yoga teacher, so this quote on the bottom here, her courses fill up within like 5 minutes. Like we are getting, our phone is ringing off the hook for Sunny's yoga classes. She's so awesome. Thomas is one of our financial, he runs a bunch of financial classes, a lot of like savvy Social Security and such like that Abby touched on, and all of his reviews are top notch, and we've met him a few times. He's great. And then over February break, we had awesome teachers from a different district, but they run like their own classes, and they ran a Lego and Minecraft courses over our February break, and the reviews were off the charts there too. So we're actually planning with them for this summer, which has been really great for us, so we can go in to this. So summer, we've had so much fun planning our first summer. Obviously, there's a lot more youth classes, which is Abby and I's background, so we've been having a lot of fun. We actually had record-breaking registration last week when we opened, over 130 enrollments in the first hour, which was really awesome. We're working with so many teachers who we know from the Wonder Care program, which we've been with in years, our old teachers, since we're both from Webster, just people throughout the district. So we've had a lot of fun, from learning Braille to college essays to just like rec sports camps. There's so much offered this summer. So we're really excited for everything that's going to come ahead, and we're really grateful for this opportunity. And this is our program that you all receive in June. We just finished it, so we're really excited about it. So yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much. Great job. That was an award-winning presentation all around, all four of you.
Award-winning.
Very efficient.
And the last thing to wrap up my campus news is really just a reminder that Tuesday is the vote day. It's at Schrader from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. We would love to see as many people there as we possibly could. So thank you guys very much for joining me. And that ends our report.
Is Neil here, or is it just you? Okay. For the district-wide safety plan public hearing part, we're gonna open with a motion, listen to the presentation, ask any questions, and then we'll close it. But this is the one where there's 30 days?
Yeah.
Okay, and you'll explain that at the end? Yeah. Got it, okay. All right, so motion to open the safety plan hearing, please. So moved, Maria, second, Linda, all in favor? Aye. All right.
Alrighty, so the safety plan, every year, what we have to do is, in essence, open a month-long, 30-day public comment period. So tonight starts that cycle. Very few updates every year with the safety plan. A lot of them are driven by New York State. They'll send us the updates. This year, there's just a couple changes to the safety plan. It's a rather comprehensive document. This is actually not all the safety plan too for everybody. There is much more that is not public as part of our operations, but this is the public portion. You guys get me this evening to open it up, and then Mr. Flood will be here in June to close it up. Generally, we might get 1 or 2 comments historically via email or a phone call about it. It goes and lives on our website with the little disclaimer. Feel free to contact us with any questions on the safety plan. So that's what we got moving forward on that tonight.
It's 118 pages. Obviously, we have the same thing, 30 days, but if anyone has any current questions, now would be the time.
Would like to say that I've watched the whole presentation of what is going on, and it's pretty amazing what Mr. Flood and you and everyone is doing to protect our children, especially at this time. It's an excellent program, and a lot has been put into it. So, thank you.
Thank you. And I guess I maybe use this time for the safety and security for the shameless plug that we are hosting a training in Willink in June for first responders. So I think any chance we get, it will be publicized in the media, any chance we get to say that out loud, because people that live in the area will see a massive amount of first responders vehicles, fire, police, ambulance, Monroe County's emergency services are all taking part of this exercise on June 19th, day where we're closed, so we have an available building for them. We've been working on this for a couple of years in the planning stages, so just any chance I get to shout that out there for people's information, I think is beneficial.
Thank you. Because not everyone realizes we're off that day either. They just assume that school's still in session, but it is an off day for that training.
Yep.
So, good idea.
Yeah. Looking forward to it.
Any other questions? All right, so a motion to close the safety plan hearing after addressing no questions. Dave, second. Carole, all in favor? Aye. All right, which then brings us to the public budget hearing.
Yes, so tonight is the culmination of the whole budget process with the budget public hearing. So this ends the budget season for presentations, but now it's into audit season and then tax season, so you'll still get to hear me on repeat. So just going to go over the process a little bit, recap everything.
Do I have to motion to open the hearing though first?
Oh, I missed that part. Yes.
Sorry. I meant, so a motion to open the hearing so it's officially
excited.
open for Brian's presentation. So moved. Michele, second. Maria, all in favor? Aye. Now it's open. Aye.
Just got too excited.
That's all right. It's very exciting.
So there's a couple unique things about the agenda. The budget hearing is the one area where we have to, state makes us break down the 3-part budget. It's the only place we ever use it. We do not report our finances this way, which is kind of unique, but they make us report it this way for all districts. And then touch on the contingent budget a little bit and just some information as we go through here and review the propositions. So you can't predict the unpredictable, but you can prepare for it. And I guess that's kind of my thought process when I was thinking about this budget. We try to always prepare, and we talked about this with long-range planning. You fix the roof when the sun is shining, and then what we've saved up we use for those rainy days. And I think that sums up what this kind of budget process was like, as you'll see. So just, this is our recap. We're here till May 20th vote. But I just want to touch on that every January we did run that community thought exchange and have incorporated all those thoughts throughout the workshop process, throughout our budget building with all of our budget builders. So some state budget updates for everybody too. I'm sure you've probably gotten some information on that. State budget deadline was April 1st. Our deadline for budget adoption and budget vote does not change even if the state is late. They just released their details on May 8th. So some items impacting schools. Cell phone ban. There wasn't a lot details, so I got question marks there. We know we will have universal free meals for breakfast and lunch next year. that is in there, that got approved. We have actually started the paperwork process for that because we still are required to fill out the community paperwork. But any other changes there, details about how we need to report or anything like that, still to be determined. State aid formulas mostly unchanged. The foundation formula data points were updated and accepted. And the governor's 2% increase was what was accepted, which was somewhat disappointing that we did not get the 3%. But from a financial perspective, the delta is not that much, and we should be pretty all right with this budget on the financial footing. Huge win for us on the human resources side. The pension system retirees extended for another 2 years. Carole, if you ever want to come back, do a little subbing. We got that waiver 2 more years.
No. That's right. Yeah, we're good.
And then last, the zero emission bus mandate was amended to include a waiver process with some more details to come from there.
2% firm, they're not going.
Correct.
Even though there was all that talk?
Yes.
Yeah. Even though our legislators told us that they thought for sure that we were going to get 3.
And can you explain what that means to us? Because we can't increase property taxes.
So the 2% for state aid goes with our largest state aid category, the foundation aid. So we are now one of 54% of districts in the state that are what are called hold harmless, meaning the formula generates a smaller amount or an equal amount to what we received the previous year. So we get a due minimum increase of 2%. We were hoping that would be 3%, but the governor's 2% is what's stuck. So that goes on foundation aid. That's where that percentage is. All of our other state aid categories, there were no changes to that, and so our projections for that are accurate.
One other question, the universal free school breakfast and lunch, is that state funded, fully funded?
So it's partial federal, and the state is making up the difference for the remaining balance of it.
This might be in this part. UPK? Is it in this one or the next one? We just don't know. We don't know. There was no details.
Correct.
About UPK. When you
Yeah.
said universal, I was thinking you were going to UPK, but we don't have details.
I
on
didn't
that
go
yet.
with UPK because it's even more broad and generic. It said more funding for UPK, but it didn't say like, oh, it's $8,000
Right.
per student,
Which
or
is-
$10,000 per student. They gave no details with that. So I hesitate because in years past, they gave us more funding. So like right now, our total funding is over $3 million for UPK. We do not have enough students to reach that amount at $5,400 per student. So we would need a UPK class size of 700 kids to get our full funding. So they say they gave us more money, but it's more money that's not attainable because we don't have enough student population to get there.
Go ahead.
So what I didn't understand before at all, and I'm starting to understand, is that we have to put forth a budget without the information we need to do a budget.
Right, so we had to adopt by April 28th.
Right.
That was our legal drop-dead date, regardless of what the state does.
So we don't really know where we stand.
So we were doing our best estimates when we...
I understand,
Yep.
but so finances are sort of, ooh.
Um,
Except for that you're going to take care of it.
Yeah, well, the only woo part is that difference between the 2% and the 3%.
Okay.
Which is not that drastic in the grand scheme of our budget and our finances. So it's a little woo, and not really like, we were expecting, and we built a budget around getting $3 million more from the state, and now we're 3 weeks after we had to adopt, and the state says, well, you're not getting the $3 million.
Okay, that's
not where we are.
That's not what we were up against.
Thank you.
No problem.
Good question. But going back to UPK, that's the thing that I know you guys have all been advocating for, I don't know, I want to say at least the last 3 or 4 years, specifically about that dollar amount per kid. We don't know that yet. We just don't know what that number is yet. So we will get more details on that one too.
Yeah, and historically, UPK is a grant where it's not even due until much later in the fiscal year. So there's been years when our UPK grant hasn't gotten approved till after Christmas. And, you know, we're 4 months into the school year, and so.
Thanks.
So some budget accomplishments that we did stay tax cap compliant, and we've been able to maintain a multitude of programming. Mrs. Land and myself sat down and looked at these two slides together and like, you know, for as difficult of a budget season it was, there's still a lot to be proud of that we have in this budget. And so these are just some of the things. We're still maintaining professional development. We still have positions for special education, ENL, RTI, a lot of funding for cultural arts and enrichment programs and for instruction, and our multitude of co-curricular and athletics. Still offering a multitude of secondary offerings on elective sides, our instructional specialists across the district, our Encore program at elementary schools, and additional funding for students with disabilities in BOCES or other out-of-district programs that are necessary or needed. And then, you know, can't invest fast enough. I feel like every time we get a budget passed, and then 2 months later, it's like, well, we could have probably used a few extra $100,000 to work on the network. So always just trying to keep up on that, because just keeping up with the speed of how fast things change on the technology is not great for a year-over-year fiscal. So that's always challenging. Sure.
Going back to the 2%, we built and passed the budget, or the proposed budget, with a 3%. What's making up that gap?
It could be a multitude of things. We're looking at, you know, we haven't set program fees for next year. My friends in continuing education that were things like that. Our rental fees for facilities, things like that. You know, we're doing well on interest earnings. That'll make up some of it. Always hopeful for sales tax revenue to come in higher than what we budget. You know, knock on wood that, you know, people keep spending.
So there's no concern that we won't be able to make that?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Do we know what that number is?
The difference between the 2 and the 3, it's a couple $100,000.
Okay.
Excellent. 3-part budget is broken down to administrative, program, and capital. So the administrative is all the back office, central services, as well as support areas and building administration. And you'll see those categories. Program is all costs associated with direct instruction, including transportation. And the capital is facilities, maintenance, debt services, and transfers to capital funds. So this is what our breakdown looks like. Our administrative budget is 7.4%. Our program is 78.7%, and 13.9% is capital. So kind of remember those percentages when we talk contingency coming up, because this is why the only expense-based thing, and I'll circle back to it, but if you want to just ingrain those percentages in your head as we move forward. So the administrative budget, here's all the things that go towards that, and you can see the largest increase is the benefits. So as part of this exercise, what the state makes us do is take the entire benefits budget and allocate it amongst the 3 areas. And how we calculate that, we allocate it based on the amount of people that are in these budget codes. So that's how we break it down. So every single area gets the percentage increase associated with that. So you can see that's where, so the benefits are dispersed according to those 3 different areas, versus when we go to actually report it to the state, the benefits are not in these 3 areas, they're in its own code. So that's what makes this 3-part budget a little bit unique as to what we've done in the past. The program side, you can see here, the one thing I will point out is the transfers. It's like, but on the capital side, we said transfers. There is one transfer we do that's part of the program budget, and that is our share of summer school cost for ESY. So there's an 80-20 split. This is our 20% share that gets transferred to that. It's in a special fund. It gets transferred to the special fund, and that covers our ESY summer portion of the bill. So that's a program, so that's why that goes there. And then you see the rest of the transfers here on the capital side. Those are including our $100,000 and the new $500,000 capital fund project that we discussed. You see the reduction there accordingly. It reduced almost a huge chunk of the salary increase too in our maintenance and operation of the plant. So transferring that money out of that part of the budget and over to the transfers will generate extra building aid for us. So that's where you see that as part of this budget. And then this is a slide we shared with staff. A big thanks to our communications team really working on looking at the budget this year and phrasing things and looking at it with a different perspective. And I love this that we put out there of really almost 91% of our operating budget directly supports students. You can even probably make an argument that some of our debt that pays for the capital improvements, which benefits our students, but we left that out, and then our back office operations, we left that out for a clean kind of path forward. But just thought this was, an interesting concept and what our resources really are invested in, 90.5%. That's why, we're a human capital business. That's why when things are tough, we only have 9% that isn't tied up in really people. So it's tough to manage that way when there's difficult times. So our total increase is 4.39%. These are all public now, so that's why I'm using the school district's names. They're all publicly available on the website, so on their websites, and everybody's adopted their budgets, so I've done this accordingly by percent increase. So you see we're the darker blue, and I put the average as its own separate bar smack dab in the middle. So we are below the county average in the lower half of districts. So just as reference, this is on the percent increase as well. Just for reference of how the county shakes out. Obviously, we leave RCSD off because they would skew data, so that's always a standard practice. Our state fiscal data, so double asterisk here, we were told early on that the state would not be updating this in time for this budget process. So we're actually using the 22-23 expenditure ratios. This is all that's published. So just to point out where we stand in per pupil expenditure compared to the county and to the state. So we are below per pupil, which is pretty good for two high schools. Usually that's an outlier of having a little bit higher per pupil expenditure, having to maintain two high schools, two middle schools, in comparison to running one secondary building at each. So we're pretty efficient there. But just wanted to point out, excuse me, that this is a 1 year further delayed because that 23-24 data has not been publicized from last fiscal year. And then break down the revenues a little bit. So here's our total revenues. So I highlighted the reserves. We are utilizing $3 million to help close the budget this year. And you see that right there. We have not utilized those in a few years. We are utilizing a little bit more interest revenue as well. And then the state aid growth at 2.8% overall that we've talked about in the past as well. And one just caveat about the reserves. I highlighted it to show where we are with the $3 million in reserves, 25-26. So 30.32% of our operating expenses are in total fund balances, which reserves are included. So we actually rank 14 out of 17 in Monroe County school districts, and you can see where we are. I did not highlight districts for this. I left this one just us highlighted, and what the average is and where we are. And I show this because I think what this speaks to is what we do here is about balance. It would make my life a lot easier if we were B, C, or D, but that's not always what's best for the program and for the district. It's trying to strike a balance of having an amount that could cover us for rainy days versus having an amount to invest in the school and the programs we do. So I think that's an important concept with this, where, if I'm thinking from purely a fiscal kind of guy lens and not former Brian that actually was in instruction, actually pretty long ago now, I guess. A and B are looking pretty good for business Brian, but, I think balance is the key here.
Yeah.
We aren't keeping as, I'm just putting it in Carole's language, we aren't keeping as much as a lot of the other districts are.
Correct.
And the state mandates that we keep a certain amount.
The state likes to not mandate that, especially the comptroller, because it gives them something to yell at us about when they come out.
Oh, I was under the impression that we had to have just logically you have to have a certain amount.
Yes.
In case things.
Yes. But there is no magic formula. We've asked that. Actually, the last time the comptroller was here in 2018-19, I asked that question. It's like, why don't you guys just put out a nice little spreadsheet that says, all right, you input student count, you input employees, you input budget size, you just some measures, and it spits out like, you should have this much funded, you should have this and this and this and this. We're like, no, it's much more fun to.
But just to be clear, because people are going to vote on a budget, and a lot of the people my age think that we're sitting on a pile of money that we should be spending right down.
Right.
But this is cautionary, and people should understand it. And if we were being on the wild side, we would be in A.
Correct. We wouldn't be where we are.
Yeah, it took me a while to get that, but I just want to say for my friends out there.
Yeah, and our auditors obviously are a big part of the, where we put our money into our reserves as well, and have been over the years, and that's a big part of this process as well. So, to your point.
All right, and then I did a 10-year look back on reserves. I thought it would look better on the bigger, but I just want to point out a couple changes. As percentage of whole revenue, if you look back in 15-16, our property tax levy was 61.4% of our entire budget. It is now 57.9%. And our state aid used to be 27.2%. It is now 32.9% of it. So you see we've shrunken the amount we're relying on property taxes and increased the amount of state aid we're reliant on. So I just wanted to point that out as a 10-year look back for our information. Some of the other things, the appropriate fund balance has stayed relatively the same. Actually, 10 years ago, we did use some reserves, but those percentages are roughly the same. So just wanted to point that out for information. Now, contingent budget. So, what are the rules and regulations for this? So, it's changed over the years. So, if voters do not approve the budget, the Board of Ed may seek another vote in June with the same or a different budget plan. You can just throw the same thing back up there. Some districts have tried that. It's usually not successful. Or you create a different amount. Or you could go right to contingent after the first vote, should it be defeated on May 20th. So if the vote fails the second time, the board must adopt a contingent budget with no increase in the tax levy from the prior year. So we have a contingent budget cap. It's based on that tax levy limit. Tax levy cannot be greater than the previous fiscal year. So the levy must remain at the 24 or 25 amount. So then, though, still part of this requirement. It's kind of like the state hasn't fully committed to how we should do this. Say you just can't raise the levy, but certain expenditure items must be removed. So equipment lines, free use of facilities, contractual increases for confidential employees, and the most important really one is must stay within that administrative percentage from the prior year. So if you remember those percentages between administrative and program, no matter what we do, so you budget goes down, create another budget, can't go above, if we go contingent, those percentages have to stay in the same ratio. So you can't just cut everything from program and throw that out. That's what that rule is meant to be. So, and you do have some discretion, the board can determine because you must ensure health, safety of students, staff, and preserve the property of district. So, as an example, equipment lines, we use equipment money to pay for new AEDs and for the batteries in the AEDs. So that's one, probably want that to ensure the health and safety. So that's not an equipment line that just automatically gets cut. Things like that. So those are the conversations that districts have around that. So I still do a contingent budget cap calculation, even though it really doesn't matter, I guess is one of the ways to say. But that is our contingent budget number. It's taking $2 million off by removing some of those things and then keeping the percentages the same. So, like I said, it's an exercise in maintaining that administrative to program ratio to keep it the same. But in reality, Board of Ed can determine what reductions need to be made. Okay? So just wanted to highlight again that tax levy reverts back. So if I take all that out, we still have 1.8 million to go to make up the 393 in the tax levy. That's just for information.
Back to that slide you had about the three-part breakdown, the administrative for this budget would be 7.4. What was it last year?
7.4, it was
Same
actually
thing,
the same.
okay.
Yep.
So what does that mean to the community if it all goes down? I mean, we wouldn't be able to rent the buildings?
So
I'm just talking about what happens.
So yeah, if what happens, so all of our partnerships for facilities usage with Youth Sports Council, PTSA, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, Lions Club, you name it. They
wouldn't be able to.
They would get a true bill for renting our facilities and using it. Right now, I think we're at $20 to run a room for unlimited amount of time. There would be true facilities costs for that. So we do subsidize a lot of those programs, community programs, as that's what it's used for. Our friends at Parks and Recreation, too, are part of that. So a lot of people get sticker shock. A lot of our programs that are run off-season for athletics, that are run through boosters, those things would also get sticker shock on the true cost of maintenance and maintaining the facilities.
And personnel.
Mm-hmm.
That we'd have to pay. In order for us to have an event, we have to have personnel on hand, depending upon what the event is.
Yeah. Another example would be, drama club performance that is, subsidized by the district, but it's run through an extracurricular account or a booster's account.
What about sports?
So sports, the ones that are directly district funded are up for conversation, but our modified track and field event, they don't pay to utilize it because it's part of our athletic program. It's those things that are kind of fall outside that.
But some things could definitely be,
Mm-hmm.
they'll be impacted. Something like
Right.
that would be impacted.
Thank you.
Jeff, did you have a question? Okay.
All right, and then just to review our propositions. So first, it doesn't show up as a proposition, but we do have to advertise it like it is. The $100,000 capital outlay project, Plank North Elementary, and the cafetorium, the elevator lift that is in there to get to the stage is being replaced, and then the cafetorium lights are being converted to LEDs, And then if the bidding comes in favorable, we'll look at other main areas in Plank North to convert those lights as well. This is funded by that transfer of $100,000. This is the 10th year we've done these projects. And so we do spend $100,000 this year and receive $70,000 in aid next year. This is normally done by our buildings and ground staff, but it generates state aid for us. We are required by SED to present this like it's a proposition, actually send this slide attached with our paperwork when we submit the project. This is the new $500,000 transfer of capital. Remember, the purpose is energy savings, and we're really trying to improve the viewing environment at Schrader High School. We're going to replace the lighting in the gymnasium and auxiliary spaces, replace some outdated electrical panels in the gymnasium, east wing, and boiler room, and look to upgrade 2 HVAC units on the roof. It's budget neutral. We're reducing the facilities budget by this amount. This will allow us to earn additional building aid in the coming years at about 70%. So this is going to net the district an extra $350,000 with no budget increase. Then Proposition 1, this is an actual separate proposition, is our diesel transportation. 10 international buses for $1,825,000. Just wanted to remind everybody this is an increase compared to last year. Even though we did at the last minute get a 2-year waiver, we still don't know what they're going to change. So we want to make sure our fleet is as up to date as possible. Purchasing a couple more buses this year gives us that flexibility. We don't want to be left short if something happens in the meantime. So after we right-size the fleet, we just want to be able to adjust. First payments are in 26, 27. This is all eligible for state aid at 68%. So when the new buses arrive, we're going to surplus the correspondingly aged buses as well. That's the style, the brand.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's really like 3 different brands. We generally cycle through a couple different ones depending on pricing, and these models have been better than the other ones. We actually leave a lot of it up to our bus drivers, let them test drive some different models and which ones they like better. And then 1 international bus electric model for $525,000. The mandated conversion begins in 27-28, but we'll see about 29-30 by filling out whatever paperwork needed there. Proposition will allow, we got to gauge community support because to even do this, we need the voters to allow it. Drivers and mechanics are interested to kind of see what one of these looks like. And so the first payments are also in the 26-27 fiscal year. These buses are financed over 8 years instead of 5. So 3 additional years of financing on these buses to make the payments look smaller over time. But they're also eligible for transportation aid at 68% reimbursement as well. So
Yeah.
they are.
I mean, yeah, you can get 10 for 1.8 and then 1 for, it's, yeah. Big
Yep,
difference.
that is very true. And then we have 3 individuals for 3-year terms. Names will appear on the ballot in the order based on random drawing by a district clerk that did this earlier. And so Linda Dioguardi, Carole Barnabas, and David Metzger will appear as the Board of Education candidates on our large iPads we're voting on this year. As always, all information can be found on the webpage. Been fielding some questions on the budget newsletter as it's come through, so happy to answer anything else.
Any other questions?
Express my gratitude for the hard work that you have done. It has not gone unnoticed. This has been an extremely challenging year, but you have tirelessly worked to produce a budget that meets the needs of our students, and it is very much appreciated by us. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, agreed. Thanks for all the time you put into it and all the changes that keep being made. And actually, like you said, he answers every question. Every question we get, we funnel them to Brian, and appreciate your openness, your transparency, and your honesty. Thanks.
Putting up with me because I always have questions.
Happy to answer them.
Complex. It's very complex.
Obviously new to the board, coming from the business world, I can tell you, going through fiscal planning every year, the job you've done is fantastic.
Thank you.
I mean, very detailed, very precise. The school district has really looked at the budget and gone through and made some very tough decisions. But coming again from the outside, I feel really comfortable in this, and that you guys have done a really nice job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, motion to close the public budget hearing after questions have been addressed. So moved Dave, second Linda, all in favor? Aye. All right, where's my pencil? There it is.
Just a couple board business items.
Yep.
So the first up is Treasurer's Report for month March. You'll notice March is the end of the state fiscal year, so they actually give us our largest state aid payment, and you'll notice that they actually send us a bunch of money in the month of March. So that stands out as far as the Treasurer's Report goes for the month of March.
Questions? All right, motion to approve the March 2025 Treasurer's Report as presented. So moved Maria, second Jeff, all in favor? Aye.
And then the next two things are meant to help alleviate what is normally a very long meeting in June, is the seeker resolutions that have to be done, the state environmental quality review for the $100,000 transfer project and the $500,000 transfer project. We can actually do those whenever. We don't have to have because it's just saying that they are not damaging the environment, those projects. That's what the state environmental quality review makes us do, and that the board is calling them type 2 projects because they're just reconstruction inside of a building with no environmental impact to anything outside of it. So we have two separate resolutions for each one, and can do those now versus waiting till June.
Yeah, questions? All right, motion to approve the seeker resolution 2025-2026 transfer to capital project. So move Maria, second Michele, all in favor? Aye. And then motion to approve the seeker resolution for the 2025-2026 capital outlay. So move Linda, second Maria, all in favor? Aye. Okay, you're done. Thank you. That is a lot. All right, second reading of the Board of Education calendar for next year. Are there any questions on that? Alrighty. So with that, motion to approve the second reading of the 25-26 Board of Ed calendar. So moved Dave, second. Carole, all in favor? Aye. All right, Policy Committee. We have two on here. We can actually vote on them at the same time. They're both first reads. One is to update because we're adding the officio for the student board members next year. So there's an update to include that process and update. And the other one is I don't know what's the title of this one. It's more personnel related. It is to add a little bit of supervisory of related individuals update. Again, it's a first read, so next month we'll do the second read. Are there any questions on either the student officer or the employment of related individuals? All right, with that, can I have a motion to approve the first reading for both policy 1210 and then 6110 and 6211? So move Linda, second Jeff, all in favor? Aye. All right. Board member highlights. So is there our chance to highlight anything from the past month since our last meeting?
I went to the Community Arts Day, and I volunteered for the auditorium, so I got to see a lot. And then I did planting with the kids, and it was so much fun. It was so busy. The busiest I've ever seen it. And also I finally made it into DeWitt PTSA meeting successfully. So, yeah, I had like 2 computers open, ready to, and so it was, and what an active PTSA, yeah. I can't remember we visited two schools, Spry and, yeah, well, Linda did, we all did, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
I am excited to announce that the Athletic Hall of Fame is actually going to take place, and we will be opening the nominations next week on May 20th. Our first inaugural class will be inducted in December of 2025. This has been a true labor of love for an incredible group of individuals, both who currently work here and who have retired. And I'm proud that we are moving this forward, and it will be exciting to see who is nominated and to keep that spirit of community going together. So look for more information at the budget vote, and I will continue to highlight some more information as it comes. So there's that. I also am very, very proud to announce that the Webster Health and Education Network held a drug take back at the end of April. They collected 500 pounds of medications, and they also collected 80.5 pounds of sharps. So we took that out of the community, sharps, needles. So we took that out of the community, so that was really, really amazing. It was a great day. Horrible weather, but great day. The other thing I wanted to talk about was the strategic planning, the AI subcommittee. We've had several work days. Marie and I have been involved in that, and have been working on the AI toolkit for the staff. And so it's currently out being reviewed by some staff members, and hopefully that will be up and ready by June. Okay, now, and so a huge thank you to Erin. This was an incredible undertaking and an enormous amount of work, but it's a great group of people that we've been able to work with, and some really good information has come out of it. So that website will be live and ready to roll. And policy committee, one more. We have a meeting coming up in June. We will have quarterly meetings to review anything that Erie 1 passes our way for review. And then we will also, starting next year, start to review sections, and we'll do that just so that we keep current all of our policies. So look for those updates in the coming months. And that's it.
Anybody else before I jump in? Okay. All right, as Mr. Freeman is wrapping up his awesome budget work since the last meeting, we've also asked him to gather up some updated data as far as the veterans exemption goes since our last meeting. 5 of the 7 of us currently on the board are still serving their first term, so this is extremely new to them. And even as Linda and I have served a couple terms, the information that we were presented in the past has been outdated. So we've asked Mr. Freeman to work with the county and the town and get us some updated information so that when we meet for our summer retreat, which we're gonna pick the date soon, we're gonna set out a couple of dates and do a little Google survey, so that information can be presented and we can workshop that at our retreat sometime late July, early August. Okay. That, I think, is the only other update. There's been some Monroe County School Board meetings, but to be honest with you, it's such a busy time of year, I haven't attended any. And I'm not going to them next, when's the annual?
The 28th. I don't think anybody
I don't think
has
any of
signed
us
up.
are, yeah.
The annual meeting, I don't think any of us have signed up,
Yeah,
right?
we're not.
No.
This year. So that's the only update I have, and that will be on the retreat agenda.
Okay.
Anything else? All right. That brings us to consent agenda. So are there any questions on any items in the consent agenda? Seeing none, can I have a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda? So moved. Linda, second. Maria, all in favor? Aye. All right, and then our last item is public speaking. So just my usual reminders. If we have people signed up, you have up to 4 minutes to speak. The light system is pretty simple. It's not meant to intimidate. It just gives you, green is 3 minutes, yellow alerts you that you have 1 minute, and red means that your time is up. It's usually not an issue, but I always go over it ahead of time. So with that being said, Mrs. Murphy, if you have speakers for us.
Mr. Smith? Good evening, everyone. My name is Tim Smith. I am an Army veteran, and I last spoke at your April 22nd meeting, whereby this board was petitioned to consider a partial school tax exemption for the 2,000-plus veteran property owners in the Webster School District. I am here today because New York State did not mandate the veteran school tax exemption, and hopefully we can persuade this Board of Education to vote yes on this issue. Since I learned last fall about the amended 2013 New York State real property tax law concerning this issue, I have been a very active advocate for all veteran property owners in Monroe County. At the beginning of 2025, there were only 4 school districts in Monroe County that had approved a veteran school tax exemption: City of Rochester, Gates Chili, Brockport, and Caledonia Mumford. You are the 4th Board of Education I've petitioned this year. We first petitioned the Greece Central School Board of Education on January 7th, and on February 25th, after the end of a public hearing, they voted yes. And 3,800 grateful men and women veterans will start receiving a partial school tax break in 2026. Their financial impact was 45 cents per $1,000 assessed value. The board and Channel 13 telecasted this event, so now there are 5 districts. Also in January, we petitioned West Arundecoit. On January 23rd, a public hearing was held, and on February 27th, 2 days after Greece voted yes, West Arundecoit voted no, 6-1. 8 cents per $1,000 financial impact. That's 5 cents a day. 845 veterans disappointed, and we are totally confused and devastated. On March 11th, we petitioned Churchville Chili. The board president and vice president then summoned us to a private meeting on April 14th, whereby they said no tax break and no public hearing. 1,009 veterans disappointed, 30 cents per $1,000 financial impact. The only thing we understood is they wanted no public exposure, nothing on the record, and we are again morally devastated. So now we are in Webster and advocate for your 2,000-plus veterans. Financial impact, my estimate is between 25 cents and 35 cents per $1,000 assessed value, which equates to $4 to $6 per month on a $200,000 assessed property. And even with a modest tax break, your veterans will still be paying over $4 million each year in school taxes. Will Webster be the 6th district to vote yes on this issue? Webster veterans are part of the 15,000 veteran property owners in Monroe County school districts who are not currently receiving a partial school tax break. And I am hoping a yes vote by the Webster Board of Education may convince others to do the same. All your veterans have been and will continue to be valuable assets to the greater Webster community and school system. So I appeal to your conscience and your hearts to provide a modest school tax break to your 2,000-plus men and women veterans and thank them for their sacrifices in the service of our country. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Mr. Corson?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lane Corson. I'm a Vietnam War veteran, past commander of Webster VFW Post 9483, a member of Webster American Legion Post 942, and a Webster taxpayer for over 25 years. Today I want to speak about a simple but powerful way we can show gratitude to the men and women who served our country by granting a veteran's partial tax break. Our veterans have made tremendous sacrifices, leaving their families, putting their lives on the line, and often returning home with visible and invisible scars. They've upheld our freedoms, our safety, our way of life, and when they return, they deserve more than just a thank you. They deserve a tangible support. Many municipalities and school districts across New York State and the nation have adopted policies that provide partial school tax breaks for eligible veterans. A school tax break would ease financial burden for many veterans especially those on fixed incomes. With rising property taxes and high cost of living, many struggle just to stay in their homes. This relief can be a difference between stability and hardship. Some may argue that school taxes fund education, and they do, and should continue to do so. But we must remember veterans have already paid more than their fair share, not just in taxes, but in service and sacrifice. Offering them a modest break isn't about shifting burden, it's about recognizing a debt. I kindly urge the Webster School Board to review the provisions of the Alternative Veterans Exemption or similar programs available under New York State law and explore how Webster Central School District might participate or expand upon such activities. This is not just policy. It's about values. It's about honoring our commitment, showing compassion, and building a community where no veteran is left behind. It is a small but significant way to express appreciation for their service, and I am confident that it would be welcomed by all veterans and their families and the broader community. Let's do the right thing. Let's support veterans, not just in words, but in actions. Thank you.
Thank you.
K1.
So I'm gonna be piggybacking a little bit off of Tim Smith, but first and foremost, good evening. Thanks for having us here and the opportunity to speak tonight. My name's Kwan Kombani. I spoke at the last meeting. I'm a retired Air Force combat veteran, and I'm also a retired Monroe County Sheriff. I'm currently the commander-elect of Post 942 in Webster on 5 Mile Line Road. I'm third in command of the VFW in Webster. When I last spoke was April 22nd, the meeting where the board was petitioned to consider a partial school tax break for the 2,000-plus veteran property owners in the Webster School District. The reason I'm here tonight is because New York State did not mandate the veteran school tax exemption, and hopefully I can persuade the Board of Education to vote yes on this issue, hopefully. It seems the only argument against this is the negative financial impact that these partial exemptions have only had on the 127 million property tax picture. My estimate is the impact will be between 25 cents to 35 cents per $1,000 assessed value, which equates for a 200,000 assessed property between $48 and $72 per year, or 4 to 6 per month. So what are the arguments for this issue? In the last 4 years, the district has increased the property tax burden by $10.7 million, and a modest tax rate will go a long way to help increasing monthly budgets for those veterans struggling on fixed incomes, those with disabilities, and surviving spouses and families of those who died in the service of our country. 2, because of 60% of your veterans are senior citizens on Social Security, the financial impact will decrease as time passes. Because of their ages, many will die. Many will sell their homes for various reasons. Number 3, for the past 25 years, these senior veterans have supported this school system by collectively paying over $70 million in property taxes, never had a child in the school system. And even with a modest tax break, all your veterans will still continue to pay some school taxes. Number 4, going forward, our military will not involve, as we did in wars like Korea, Vietnam, Desert Storm, Afghanistan, which engaged thousands of veterans in combat who received the most tax break. So for the future financial impact will be less. Number 5, all your veterans have been and will continue to be valuable assets to the greater Webster community and school system. But in the end, can we all say thank you for your service in a tangible way by passing a veteran school tax break? And that's all I have. Thank you.
Al-Gabati.
My name is Al Gabbiati. I am not a resident of Webster. I am a resident of Fairport, New York. I feel I am a resident of Webster because I am the treasurer of Post 942. I have to deal with the monies that this post generates for Webster, for the residents. We have, last year, given to the residents of Webster nearly $30,000. Our post has been in operation since 1932, and each year we turn over monies to the residents of Webster. So figure it out, do the math. Even in 32 money, if we gave $100, what's it worth today? So consequently, when they ask here, 25 cents per thousand, even 10 cents per thousand, whatever. It's a recognition of what these people have done. My next question here to you is, how many of you have served? Raise your hand. They did. I did. We served, and we didn't ask for anything. And that's the point I'm driving at. We didn't ask for anything. The ask tonight, a simple one. Give some tax break to people who can't afford it. I will not see the tax break. I may or may not see it in Fairport. I'm concerned about the 60% of the people who are in their 70s and 80s who can't afford to pay the tax. I can't tell you how much money we have put to certain veterans that can't meet food on the table. Think about it. Think about what I'm saying to you. In the scheme of things, what we're asking for is peanuts. You got $74 million from the state. I just got the numbers. State aid. Give a portion of it back. We're going to spend, just so you know, we spend this past year, we sent 4 students from the high schools here monies for college, $300 each. 7 students are going to go to Boys State, $600 each. We've just formed a baseball team for Webster, $3,600 last year, $3,600 this year. You didn't have a baseball team. You got one now, an American Legion baseball team for Webster. Your people were playing in Irondequoit, Greece, Fairport. They're playing here. This is what it's about. Do what's right. What is right? What's in your conscience? You don't vote for the monetary part of this. You're voting for your conscience. And this is the important part of this whole thing. So do what's right. Think about the veterans. And one last thing. I watched all your education things. Not one mention, not one, on teaching the kids what veterans did. Think about that too. These guys gave a lot. Pay back. Thank you.
Craig Tower.
Good evening. All I'm here to do is just repeat what I said at our last meeting, or your last meeting, in the pursuit of expanding New York State's real property law, Section 458-1, A. I'll repeat that, Section 458-A. And again, I'll petition, because I didn't hear any speaking of whether or not we're going to have that meeting scheduled in the public. So I'm just bringing up the point that we want that scheduled so that the public can address you as well as veterans, and that they can give you a voice as well, their voice. Now, I'm the commander-elect for the VFW, and this is kind of personal because I am a veteran, of course. Navy submarines, probably one of the loneliest jobs. We're away from our families 7 months of the year. And that was average. And I did it for 9 years on 2 different submarines. I spent 2.5 years on a shore duty, and they shortened it so that I would be on a second submarine. So we made sacrifices. Submariners made a great sacrifice in World War II, especially. You don't hear much about us. It's a silent service. I did not come back disabled. I don't have any mental disabilities or physical ones. When I got out, I went to work, and I worked in our community and other communities. I came back to New York and Rochester for my parents, and I stayed in Webster. And I've been here for 27 years. I'm about ready to retire, and I'm looking at that. Can I afford to stay in my house in Webster? That's just a simple question. Property tax is what it is. It will continue to go up, assuredly. We know that. And we're not asking, veterans are not asking anything unusual. And I'll probably be one of the ones that doesn't have to pay or won't be included in that exemption. But I'm going to fight for it because there are others that are. Other families that are, other veterans that are. I don't have much more to say about that. It turned yellow, so thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. I look forward, and I'll show up at every meeting for you so we can get this public meeting scheduled and on the books, and we can hear the opinions of others. Thank you very much.
That's it, I'm sorry.
We have the public speaking and then we adjourn. So I just want to reiterate yet again, we are listening. We were listening last month, we're listening tonight. We've asked for the information. Mr. Freeman is going to work on that for us, and we're going to retreat it in the summer. That is on the retreat schedule. This way we can all learn. As I said earlier, this is a very young board. Linda and I are the only ones that have a minuscule amount of information on this. The 5 remaining, who will be with us next year, because as you saw tonight, there's 3 open seats, there's only 3 people running. So the good thing too is it will be the 7 of us, and we'll be able to workshop that at the retreat to gather all the information, gather accurate data, which hopefully matches what you're saying, and then we'll be able to move forward in the fall. So I don't want you to think like we're not listening, we're not moving forward with it. We want to make sure we have accurate information so that when we do present it, everybody's on the same page. As you said, everybody can come speak, and we'll be able to make informed, accurate, and appropriate decisions moving forward. So it just seems odd because everyone speaks and then it's like, okay, good night. Just wanted to make sure that we reiterated that again and assured you that we are listening. It's on the docket for this summer, and we'll move forward from there. So with that, oh, do you want, sorry.
And that we appreciate your service. I think I can speak for every single one of us up here. We absolutely appreciate your service.
Thank you. With that, motion to adjourn, please. Carole, second. Linda, all in favor? Aye. Thank you.